Hi, my name is Chapman, and I'm starting my own business. This is a web series to chronicle every step that I take along the way, and I invite you to join me in launching your own business. In this video is the final video, finally, of installing our basic server. So we're going to put WordPress on there and launch it to the world. So with that, in effect, we've already configured the server. We have our full stack on there. And we have now just concluded adding SSL to prevent all sorts of nefarious things that could happen with our server. But most specifically, Google is requiring SSLs on web servers kind of going forward if you want to keep your page rank. So we're just kind of being proactive with that. Or maybe in 6 months, by the time that you view this video, that's the normal. Or 10 years from now, and who knows what the normal is then. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and keep going with the WordPress install tutorial here. And the first thing we need to do is log into our remote server. So I'll just exit out, clear my screen. And to get started, we're going to log into our server through SSH root at reactivepixel.com. And that's going to log us in as a root, and we can then run our command of MySQL login as root to that with the password. All right, so now we're in there. So there's a couple things we need to do for WordPress. We need to run a command to create the WordPress database. So I'm going to go ahead and you see right here where it says none, I need to use MySQL. And then we can run that command for creating the database WordPress. And it's at this point we'll want to run this command of grant all to the WordPress user at localhost. So pasting that in there. Oh, of course that's not going to work because my username is not WordPress user, it is Chapman. To grant all for WordPress, the database, to Chapman using password. Let's create a just random mashed together password. All right, so let's not lose that. And end it with a semicolon, and it should be good. I'm going to go ahead and flush the privileges, which allow that to take effect, and then exit. So now we need to switch users to Chapman, and then run that command. Enter Chapman's password. And we need to add a couple entries to our server block. So we're going to do it at the very end here. So this sets up our favicon robots.txt and in such a way that it's not going to break too much of anything. Also, we're going to find our 404 redirect. Looks like there it is. I'm going to go ahead and comment that line out, drop a new line in there. And when we're finished, let's go ahead and save, test it. It is registering that it is okay, split on 2 lines. And we will then reload Nginx. So at this point, I want to go ahead and it's been a while since we've done an update. So let's just update and make sure we have all the latest and greatest. Grab this next line and install everything that we need for WordPress. So once that's all installed, I'm going to go ahead and restart PHP. And the configuration is done. So now it comes time to download WordPress directly. So I'm going to go ahead and change my directory to TMP because now the directory matters. And I'm going to reach out to wordpress.org with curl and pull in the latest version of the so in Linux, this is a tar file. It's a tar ball. We just now need to extract, unzip that, basically. So now if we look at the directory, we have the tarball as well as some other stuff going on. So we want to copy our sample config and turn it into our actual config, and then make a nice little directory. I want to, as a sudo, copy that directory over to the var www.html directory. Remember, this is the directory that all of our Nginx stuff is going to live inside of. And so there is a small problem though, because we were using the command sudo. Sudo, our super user, now owns everything inside of that directory, which is a problem because we don't want it to. We need our individual user to be able to access this at some point. So we need to go ahead and change that with chapman. Just put your user right there. And it should be good. So next I'm going to add this line. And basically as new files get created, we want to make sure that the www-data is part of that user group all the time. And we'll do the same thing here. And the same thing here. So here's a fun one. We want to go ahead and we're going to end up modifying our WordPress install to be very secure, or rather as secure as WordPress can be, which is kind of one of its downsides. Is it kind of always, you need to keep it up to date constantly because it's just attacked all the time. So I'm going to go ahead and copy everything that came out there, and I'm going to nano var www html wordpress config.php, and now I have all of these right here that I'm going to put my unique right there. So I'm going to press Control and K to cut the line, cut each of those lines, paste mine in there, and that should be good, just about. Looks like we need to put our database name here as well. Oops. The database was called WordPress. The database user is Chapman. And the password that I used is this. And I'm realizing now that I might have copied the wrong password in there because it looks like I selected an extra character. Hard to tell though. So the rest of that should be good. But we do want to add one last method at the end here of the direct method. All right, so I will exit out, save, and keep following directions, following the recipe. So I'm going to my main site. All right, I've got the WordPress install. So config, the site's title. And this can all be changed later. Notice that it gives you a nice strong password to begin with. I might as well write that down somewhere. I'll just throw it over here in a new tab. And I'm going to install WordPress. And this is just one of my junk emails. And it should go through the process of creating everything, hopefully. Or it'll yell at us that it did not. Try again. All right, it's already installed. Good deal. So admin with that password, remember me, log in. All right, we are working. So WordPress is installed. However, there's a few things that we want to do to kind of keep up with security. So every now and again, you're going to want to set up WordPress to automatically update. Not automatically, but allow it to update. So to do that, you're going to have to come back into this tutorial, grab this line of code, and essentially run it. So let's kind of like actually look at our files. So just running commands. So I'm going to go to change my directory to var html. I'll do a listing here. So you'll notice that these files are all owned by my user from the user group www.data. So what's going to happen is if I run this command, it's going to change Chapman to www, which lets the server update itself. So if I were handling that, I would get this out of the way. So if I go to update, hey, we have the most current version. So here it would tell us that we can update or install or something at this point. You'd click that. It'll probably tell you hey, you have an issue with permissions. If that's the case, come back here, grab the sudo chown -r www data and then the rest of the path. Run that on your server, and then you should be able to rerun this. And then after you're done updating, you want to prevent the server from self-updating by chaining it back to your user. Now what that does is if someone were to gain control of your server or your WordPress install or get more access than what they should, because WordPress has a lot of flaws. This limits what they can possibly do to basically they have to have your username, not your username, but your that SSH key that we generated. They have to know that to access this, and it's not even just a password. It's that crazy long public key that we're talking about. So in getting things set up, that is how to go ahead and get WordPress up and running from zero. And we can double check that by going to reactivepixel.com. And we see the hello world post there for us. And boy, is that ugly. So one of the next things that we're going to do is fancy this up. And we're going to do that using kind of a nice little licensing loophole where you can, for a very reasonable price, purchase a template and put it on here. Whereas if you were contracting this out from someone else and someone else did all of these steps that you did, the template would be $1,800 instead of the $50 or $59 that we'll spend to get that working. So these videos, depending on your skill level coming in with web or with the ability to work in terminal, it's going to be quite varied. So just know that if you can hang with it and get through these videos and run these commands, and ideally this is just following a recipe, follow the recipe of those commands. And honestly, as I mentioned in one of the first videos, you can skip all of this and just do the one-click installs. So create a droplet. Wait a half a second. One-click install WordPress. How big do you want it to be? Name it, create it, and you'll have all of this installed and configured. But I just wanted to show you the more in-depth way so that you know that it's secure. Because when we start talking about marketing and things, you're going to be putting in a lot of effort into the site to get it up and running, to get it indexed into Google, and to get people aware of it. And if you're not properly configured, you don't want that just to waste it down the drain because someone gained access to your system that you weren't expecting them to. So I prefer the more in-depth way, and that's what we covered. So like I said, in the next in one of the next videos, we'll go through how to set up and install the template so that we can have an attractive first website with minimal effort. And I hope you're not laughing too hard off of the minimal effort after going through these videos. So thank you so much.